What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out the US Army's new belt-fed machine gun. The M250 is replacing the M249. This is by Grand Thumb. This is kind of finishing off this reaction series thing that we're kind of doing, where we're checking out these new rifles that are replacing a lot of the US rifles, and it's mostly been spearheaded by Grand Thumb. So I'm probably going to watch this and take a break from his channel. I don't want to watch too much of his content and take too many views away from him, which I doubt I am anyway. The guy's following is unreal, and the most people who watch these videos have already seen his content anyway. But still, you know, I just out of being polite, I don't want to have too much of his content on here. And so yeah, this is kind of rounding off that series of checking out the new weapons that are replacing the ones that are currently in the US Army. Although this was a year ago, so that replacement might be ongoing now. It actually might be already underway. So this is going to be interesting. To me, this is kind of like the GPMG being replaced, right? What's the actual technical name for the GPMG? Let me have a look real quick. The FNMAG. So let me get a picture of that up real quick for all my American viewers of what that looks like. This is the GPMG. This is what I used in the Royal Marines right here, the FNMAG. And so this is kind of like, you know, the US is now upgrading their version of what was a GPMG. I don't know what they used before it. It was the M249. Surely they're very similar, right? Versus M249. Search, please. Christ almighty. I think they're very similar weapons in a way. My presumption anyway. Very similar. So yeah, this is basically like a new updated version of a belt-fed machine gun that would be able to be carried during you know, operations. And so yeah, I'm excited to watch this. It's a longer video, 22 minutes, just under 23 minutes. Sit back, relax, let's have some fun. If you want to watch the video, if you want to subscribe to Grand Thumb, which if you're not already, I don't know what the hell you're doing, first down in the description below, go check it out. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's pull it up, let's have a look. It's already pulled up. Let's watch it. It's very nice. Very, very nice. Holy! What's the point of it having a silencer on it? That's a nice looking machine gun, isn't it? Very nice looking machine gun. What does this shoot? I'm going to turn it down a little bit during the montage so I can talk over it. I wonder what this shoots. It's belt fed. I don't think it's 7.62. That looks bigger than 7.62. It looks much bigger than 7.62. More footage. Is it a SIG?
Today on Grand Thumb, we're going to be talking about the M250.
Is it
Brand
SIG?
new weapon that is going to be replacing the M249. In so many ways, so many things have changed.
Hold on a second. I thought something was off. Where's his flannel? I was like off. I was like, I felt weird. I'm like, something's weird. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, something didn't feel right. He's not wearing a flannel. The fuck?
And it is so much better than the M249 that I actually don't even know where to begin. So I hope that today you will join us as we talk about the Army's brand new belt-fed, the M250, here on Grand Thumb.
Is it made
but
by
before we
SIG?
do, we of course have to thank...
I wouldn't be surprised if it's made by SIG just because it looks like they have a contract, don't they, already?
The biggest sponsor of the channel, the Sonoran Desert Institute. A big weapon. This is, of course, the soon-to-be M250. And what a really cool opportunity to
Did he say what it was originally called then?
0.8x51. Welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about a very cool weapon. This is, of course, the soon-to-be M250. And what a really cool opportunity to be able to review it. So we are here at the SIG facility right now. And
it is SIG.
SIG guys.
Amazing. It just has that look to that SIG look to it, doesn't it? Like they all have.
Obviously, this is not a weapon that's going to be available to the public as a semi in probably any time span anytime soon.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because it is the next evolution in military weapons. So there's a lot that needs to be said about this particular weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, my often forgotten, but most certainly not by me, 6.8 by 51. Welcome to the channel. We are reviewing a very interesting weapon. We have the M250, very soon to be the military.
Is this like a repeat?
New belt fed, brand new weapon, brand new cartridge. It's really pretty incredible. I'm I feel pretty lucky to be able to review it because obviously this isn't a weapon that's going to be available to the public anytime soon, unfortunately. Thank you, ATF. But in any case, it is the future of our small arms and what's going to be utilized in the military. Now, it should be noted that my time in the military, the SAW, the M249 was not a weapon that I was on that often. I was trained on it. I knew how to shoot it. I knew how to run it in case I needed to.
Yeah, I was trained on the when you're in training in the Royal Marines, you get trained on the GPMG quite a lot. Like you actually do quite a bit of training with the GPMG. And so I am well aware of how to use these belt-fed weapons, although obviously this is a different one, so different type of setup. I'm not sure, does it have like the whole top part coming off to put the belt in? We'll have to have a look.
However, it wasn't a weapon that I'm as familiar with compared to rifles. So it's for that reason that we have one of the SIG employees here who deals a lot with the military, and he will be walking us through this weapon as we talk about it. Today, we of course have to welcome St. John from the military division of SIG. I'm not sure how it precisely works. It's kind of like the Empire. You can come on in, St. John. Yeah.
Is this guy with the mustache?
Got a killer mustache.
Legend, yes.
Pleasure, nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming on.
This guy's really cool. I really like him. I think he's got some really good knowledge.
Just like you said, St. John, Senior Director for Defense Strategic Projects for our Defense Strategies Division. So there's a lot of strategy.
That's a lot of strategy.
That's a big
there.
title, that, isn't it?
I couldn't say it the one time, but if you want me to. Yeah, I'm the Senior Director for Strategic Products for Defense Strategies Group. Here at Sig Sauer. And before we get going, you look pretty excited there.
I'm really excited.
I mean, I can't talk to anyone. You introduced me, but kind of introductions here, and I want to make sure I'm addressing you properly. Is it Garand? Is it
so
Mr. Thumb?
That's a good question.
Or is it Iceman? You know, you have this real affinity with ice, apparently. Does that make me, on behalf of Top Gun 2, kind of maverick in this situation, or where are we going? Where are we going with this?
So it is pronounced Garand. It's the Canadian pronunciation. We want to put a little bit of respect on his name as a quick note.
And another thing I had to ask I'm from the Midwest, and I don't know where you're from.
No, we're good.
I don't know if you have any family members, but up around me in the farm communities, we have in the northern part of Iowa and a little bit of southern Minnesota, we have a bunch of thumbs. It's kind of a familial name up in there.
Yeah, well, I kind of...
Now, they're farmers, so they're the green thumbs. They're the green thumbs.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, I thought about that the wrong way.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about the M250. What a cool weapon. I want to go ahead and...
Someone did tell me, and I said that this is like rounding off this new implementation of these new weapons into the US Army. Someone did tell me that he did a video on the scope that is getting put on the rifle, the Vortex something. I can watch that if you want. I don't know if I'm going to watch that. Like I said, I don't want to watch too much of his stuff. But I am kind of making this as like a bit of a package of watching all of the content that is about these new weapons. Because I think that's a super, super important subject. The new weapons the US Army is getting is incredibly important. And I feel like being a US citizen, as well as a British citizen, I am a US citizen. It's nice for me to be aware of what my military is doing, you know? Because I have two militaries. I have the military I was a part of, the British Royal Marines Commandos, and I have the military that have adopted me, the US military, which I love very much.
Take this as we always do with the Marine Corps loves. Tip to butt. We have a Marine in here, so I got to harass him. So to start off with, when it comes to the suppressor on this guy, this is going to come with every single M250. Is that correct?
That is correct, and M5.
And it's compatible with the M5 as well. It's the exact same thing. So what can you tell me about the suppressor?
Yeah, just back up a little bit of sales on this. You know, we're very excited here at Sig Sauer. Obviously, it's an exciting day. The NGSW program was a landmark win for us. And like you talk about the suppressor, the entire product line we feel is quite revolutionary. But our suppressors are born realistically backing up about 5.5 years of the SOCOM Surge program.
Okay.
And SOCOM Surge was the first program that really brought in low toxic fume blowback as a requirement to suppressors. Most of your viewers and yourself have shot a lot of suppressed weapons.
I had lead poisoning from suppressors, to be clear, so that's probably a good thing that you guys are doing.
I was in the 70s, mine was from paint. So we're equally there. But you've shot there, right? You're shooting glasses, your eyes water, you come down, it looks, you got like splatter painted with carbon and oil. And so they looked at it as really an environmental hazard and a workplace hazard for the operator.
I mean, I know that a lot of people would be like, environmental hazard, especially like the people who like this type of content aren't really caring about the environment. I care about the environment quite a lot because I'm a bit of a hippie. But what he's saying makes sense if you think of it from a employee stand-based, right? From an employee standpoint, right? They're employing soldiers. If you think about the military's employing soldiers, that's technically what they're doing, and it's in their interest to keep the soldiers as healthy and fit as possible. And so anything like this that can potentially cause some sort of damage in the future, never mind like veterans claiming on stuff if something's happened to them, but it just prevents any injuries, any long-term damage to these individuals who not only are they employing them as soldiers, but they also do care about them, or at least we like to think that the US cares about its veterans and its soldiers. And so, yeah, you might not care about environment and stuff like that, but this stuff actually is really, really important.
That program required that a suppressed M4 have equal to the same amount of toxic fume blowback gases into the user's face as an unsuppressed M4. We invested a lot of money and a lot of engineering efforts and really some computational modeling to predict how gas flows through a suppressor. And we were able to design a suppressor that on an M4 actually has less toxic gas in the end user's face than an unsuppressed M4. So we've actually reduced it suppressed compared to where it was unsuppressed.
Some black magic right there.
So there are other reasons for it to be suppressed then? Like there are important reasons for it. Because every time you think of a suppression, you think it's just for sound, right? But there are other reasons to it, which makes me believe that's why they probably give it with every single rifle as well, including in the UK. Like the Royal Marines, their new KS-1 is got a suppressor on it as well. So
I don't know how it gets done.
I'm just approximate barrel life that you're running on these guys right here.
So we've done a lot of research and development on coatings and other materials. We're north of 10,000. The Army had a requirement of 5,000, and we're moving forward, and we feel that we're going to be on the cusp of 15,000 here pretty soon.
Woo. Nice, very impressive.
Yeah, it's quite impressive.
Can we pop off this little cover right here and take a look at that?
Too easy?
Can you show people how easy it is to undo this barrel?
Wow.
Yeah, so the
Mike freaks out. He's like, hold up.
Yep. So to take the handguard off, it's a self-retained pin. We put a lot of thought processes as former end users.
Self-retained. People don't realize how important that is. Lads will lose that shit easy.
On let's not lose stuff.
Yeah.
I know the handguard comes off now. I likely see that this will be a captured hinge like it is on our other machine guns.
I like the fact that people who are designing this are actual guys who have, like, talking to your team, you can't even talk about them. These are guys who have actually done it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, man. It makes for a better product, I
Yeah,
think.
it's a former action guy thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat.
But when you look at the system, what's really unique about it is, it's multi-caliber as long as that fits within the 7.62 family head size on the cartridge. It's nothing.
So it is 7.62 then?
More than rotating the barrel clamp over.
But it can
and then
change.
The barrel comes off, and I can change this to 6.5, 6.8, and 260.
Wow.
Of which we have 6.5, 7.62, and 6.8 machine guns. We have prototypes in 260.
And now people are going to ask, right, because they're so used to quick change systems. So that was an Army requirement, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so
correct?
even though this is quote unquote quick change, it's not a quick change under firing conditions, right? It's going to be super hot.
Right.
All right. So there's
I mean, the GPMG had like a tiny little handle that you're not really going to do it when it's hot, but you could if you really had to. I'd like a tiny little handle on the front that you could like pull the barrel off, which I thought was cool, but holy shit, you're going to burn yourself. Like,
a couple of things that prevented us from being able to put a carrying handle. First one was weight.
Okay.
yeah.
And the second one is the Army didn't want it. So really, the first one is the Army didn't want it, and the second one was weight.
Perfect.
So they didn't want that handle on it anymore. So I'm guessing that the old one, the 249, had a little handle like a GPMG. Interesting.
And then you worry about, well, how about the clamp? How does it come undone? Well, the handguard itself.
Let me just search that properly. Where's the general consensus? The mini-me. I just want to know what people are saying about the FN MAG, even though we called it a GPMG. Let me just put GPMG in there. Because I think I want to know what people are saying about it. I know it's just general purpose machine gun, but I feel like from a UK standpoint, if I'm Googling that, it's probably better. I guess not really many people are talking about it. If you type in the UK GPMG, it's an FMMAG. Is there a different name for it? Is there a different name for it? Is it modeled on the brand, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Let's see if I can get that and see if... versus the M249. I just feel like they're very, very similar rifles, and the M249 looks more like a mini-me, yeah. So for just so people are aware, we have what's called a mini-me. And the mini-me is basically like a smaller version of the GPMG. There we go. Here's a good picture of it. Yeah. Is that it? It looks different. That's what I remember. The mini-me looking like with this stock on it. But anyway, yeah, there's different types. If someone, I'm not bothered about the mini-me. I just want to know more about. I want to know what the difference is between that and the US version of what they had. The 240. Really want to know the difference. Here we go. Here we go. Someone's literally asked it right here. Very little difference whatsoever. The GPMG and the 240 are essentially the same weapon with different furniture. There you go. Okay, so they are practically the 240. Oh, wrong video. Which must have been an older one than the 249. Jeesh. It was 7.62 as well. Yeah, so they're practically the same. They're practically the same, aren't they?
Actually prevents it from being able to rotate.
So they're upgrading from practically what is a GPMG to this thing. Because the GPMG is old.
It captures it so that it can't come undone during operation.
Science.
Science. Just gets in the way.
Now, when we're talking about this top cover right here, so we're not going to be putting lasers on there. From talking to a few of your guys, it's generally recommended that anything that needs to retain zero is put on these side M-lock pieces, right, like we see right there with that.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So it's just, we have it if we need it for like thermal or for, night vision clip-on or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you start talking about, yeah, you're correct there, and when you start talking about your inline aspect, that's what led us to our feed tray design, which opens to the side rather than back to front, and that's so that optic can rotate into that relationship and not interfere with your inline.
So wrong the first time I saw it open that way.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like if somebody you were watching somebody walk and all of a sudden their kneecap bent the other way.
Yep.
Like I screamed a little bit.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah, that is weird because you are, with the GPMG, you are pulling it up, putting a belt on and closing it down. Do you know what I mean? Like, God, I just remember like exactly when you're shooting it, cock it, pull it up, belt on, bang it, bam. Yeah, I just remember exactly what you got to do, the hand movements, even though it's been upwards of 10 years.
It's funny when you get into your manual of arms and things change. It's funny because, it just feels awkward, right? It feels awkward to put your thumb up there and you're like, how does this work? And then after you run it a few times, it's
That's going to be an issue. Do you see what he did there? He used the scope to close it. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. It depends on how secure that scope is, because you know what it's like with a scope. You knock it, you move it, you change it. Like, you can be off quite a bit, especially at distance. You're shooting 7.62 here. You're going to be shooting quite a distance if you really want to. And so if you're using the scope to close that, and when you close that, you got to make sure it's closed. So people might be using the scope for that. I don't know if I like that. Look, he literally grabbed the scope to do it.
Just pushing and flipping it over.
It's simple now that I've used it, and it's cool because obviously now I can run my thermals and everything, because on the feed tray on like an M249, if like a Mark 46 or something like that, you push that forward and
correct.
I mean,
yeah,
it's just a problem. Now people are going to ask, of course, with this. With your optic, obviously your optic doesn't have to be mounted there, but what is the return to zero on this guy when the feed tray cover closes?
Yeah, that's the first question I asked, right?
Yeah.
How are we going to retain zero? So right now, return to zero on the feed tray from open to close is right around 1.2 to 1.4 minutes of angle. I know that's not precise, but neither is a machine gun.
That's
right? So
good enough for a machine gun.
It's true.
Without a doubt.
That's true.
No, I suppose also you could always take the optic and just
correct.
Put it right there.
I would probably. That's the thing as well, though. If you're doing an ammo change as quick as you can, like you want to be. So I know it's super quick, but you want to be looking where that belt's being fed. And so if the optic is further back, and you're going in front of that, opening it up, but you've got to go up and look over above your optic to make sure it's in and close it and crack on. Huh. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I do think that this is coming from a place of using the classic style, right, front to back. It's coming from me having that experience. I just don't know how much I like that. But I mean, I don't know.
But you have to really look at, there's some eye relief qualities and things that you're going to have to worry about with your optics, and really the feed tray is probably going to come into a play in quite a few of them.
No doubt. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now, people are going to ask, why do we have offset sights, especially on a machine gun? This is
Army requirement.
Army requirement. Yeah. Now,
but what's unique about them is if you look at our offset sights, bring it in here, Micah. I mean, is he running the show or am I?
Dang, he's all right. Micah around? What the fuck?
Yeah, well, Micah. But if you look at them, we actually designed them to be two-piece, so if you don't want to run them 45 degrees, you can mount them at the 12 o'clock position just by disassembly.
I mean, think about it. If you're using an iron sight, like if you're moving to an iron sight, yeah, it's a bit weird that it's canted like that. I suppose if you're shooting it from your shoulder, being canted, it's not that big of a deal, but still.
Engineering. Very cool. Now, this video is brought to you by Established Titles, as you can see right here.
I'm going to skip the ad.
You skipped over it. Can you tell me about this? Because I know this is a very expensive bipod.
Well, if you only knew how expensive it was, this is probably iteration 8, 9, 10, 12, just to try to get the bipod as durable as we could and as perfect as we could. We went through a lot of iterations, and, when you look at a lot of bipod-supported weapon systems, it's usually a pretty weak point, right?
It is,
especially when you put, a guy your size behind leaning into it and loading up those bipods.
That makes me feel like a big, strong boy, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you look at them, they're quite simple in aspect. They
look
extend,
sturdy.
so you can get, uneven terrain, or you can get a little bit higher if you, depending.
I like that they also have these ridges on the bottom as well. If you know what the GPMG looks like, it's kind of like flat. Like the kind of like flat feet on the bottom of it. I didn't really like that.
What you're trying to do, they got exchangeable feet. That's nothing new, right? And really there's nothing new except the fact that they're really lightweight. They stow. They're captured in the M-lock position in the 6 o'clock portion of the receiver. They're titanium on the front to really reduce weight. And then they rotate 3 different directions.
Whoa.
To get out of the way.
But again, they're if you looked at them from, you and I look at them and say, hey, if I really load those up and I put a lot of use against them, that they're fragile and they're very tough.
That's good.
Titanium.
Well, sure. and engineering.
Engineering, science.
See, right back to it.
Now, here's my favorite feature on the M250, and it seems so simple, but it is the entire
Is that like a quick release for the ammo pouch?
Mechanism of holding the ammunition. So we have the nut sacks right here, and we have
the nut sacks. He calls it a nut sack. I've never heard that before.
And 100 rounders, correct? This is a 50 rounder right here.
It is.
So what's so cool is like on the saw, you have that little dovetail that you got to get that bitch into, and it just does not want to get into it. So what's cool about this is you simply click it into place, and then even better is you have to hit both sides here to release it. So in a gunning position, when I need to release that guy, I can hit both of them.
Oh, I like that a lot.
However, if I just hit one, or if I hit the other, if it gets bumped or anything like that, it's not going to release it.
I like that a lot.
At the same time.
That's a great design.
is such an improvement to me over the saw already that I would just take this at that point.
Oh, if you've ever maneuvered with a saw, the first thing that happens is there's a plastic drum on the ground and a 200-round belt being drugged behind you.
That's what you want.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. It looks really cool because then you get to wrap it around your arm and, you know, relive your Rambo 1 days. Before your time. When were you born, 84?
86.
86.
Yeah.
No, you're 84. I've read the internet.
Oh, yeah, for
Internet's
sure.
definitely, you're not right, the internet's right.
That's correct. So I want you to talk a little bit about this because this seems like a way simpler way of loading the belt compared to like
God, it looks so weird. It going to the side like that.
the nut sacks that you have on the M249 or the Mark 46 or Mark 48. Like it's simple. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's nothing more than you just back feed it in with a round oriented in the right direction. It can obviously be screwed up as you've seen earlier on the range when I handed it to you.
We're not talking about that.
Oh, we're leaving that out. That's going to hit the editing. Mike, put that on the editing floor, please.
It's going to stay in.
I'm still allowed to boss him?
No, you can't talk
Okay,
to him
talk
that way.
to me. I apologize, Mike. All right, so we're gonna load them up in there. Obviously, it just snaps shut. You put it in your carrying. Of course, I'm extremely prepared, and I don't have one to demonstrate for you, but we have a unique, it's not unique, it's not new, but it is unique really for a while, is we have a spoon that attaches to the ammo so that when I click it in, it would, you know how effective this would be with a demonstratable aspect of spooning? Spoon?
You see freaking Grand Thumb's eyes light up when he mentioned spooning there, watch.
Effective this would be with a demonstratable aspect of spooning? Spoon?
Look at his face. Look at his face.
Spooning? Spoon? I don't know the verb. Normally, you would have your ammo in here, and it would have a spoon that's captured within this piece of elastic. And the weapon system can be loaded multiple ways. And this, you know, one of the things we really wanted to make an improvement on with the gun is if you're familiar with other machine guns, other machine guns can't be loaded with the bolt forward on safe, right? So you have to put them on fire, pull it to the rear, put it on safe, return it. And if you've been in the military long enough, you've seen mishaps happen because of that loading process.
Literally what some Rangers were talking to me about like a week ago.
Yep.
Because I just got a saw, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me talk to you about the saw."
I could. When we're off camera, I'll relate a story. I don't want to embarrass folks, but it's a hilarious story. If you're not involved,
It's about the Air Force guys.
I feel like everyone has a story about. For me, obviously, it's the GPMG. In the UK, I feel like everyone has a story about like the GPMG. Everybody. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to elaborate. Elaborate. I'm not going to elaborate. I'm not going to elaborate. I'll probably tell my story. You know what? People always ask me to tell me my stories from the military. I can do that if you want. About the time when we were in a frigging storm on ship, I was in a flat. Okay, I'm going to tell you one story. I was in a flat bottom ship. It was a survey ship. I was doing anti-piracy, right? And on the front, it was only a small ship, 100 meters long, smallest ship, flat bottom ship. Now, if you've been on a ship in a storm, when it's a flat bottom ship, holy crap. Like, you can't glide through the waves. You're going over them, right? Middle of a storm. Horrific. Water coming over the front. On the very front of the ship, there's two So if you can imagine the ship's like this, right? There's two GPMGs, like, kind of like on this front, like pointing out like that. And we had to get them in because the water was coming over the front. Not only did we not want them to get unclipped and obviously disappear, which they probably wouldn't, but still. But we didn't want a bunch of salt water on it, getting it salty and getting all rusty and shit. So they're like, how are we going to get this? No one was allowed outside of the boat, like on the deck. No one was allowed outside, right? Everyone was indoors. So like, all right, let's get 2 Marines. Let's tie a piece of rope around the waist, make them go out to the front of the ship, get the GPMG off and pull it in, right? There was me and this other lad, both 18, 19-year-old young lads, because we got picked to do it because we were the youngest ones. The smallest bit of rope around our waist, and I shit you not, we were on the front of that ship getting hit with water coming over us. We're holding on to shit. We're coming off the ground, hitting the ground, trying to unclip a GPMG. Then I'm going to try and carry it back to the frigging bridge. Oh my God, the amount of times I nearly went overboard doing that was unbelievable. Just to get these 2 rusty, shitty GPMGs from the front of the ship off. Crap.
Oh no, it's
Anyway, I'm sorry for the rant. It's just everyone's got a story about these weapons. Everyone.
embarrass folks, but it's a hilarious story.
If
you're not involved.
It's about the Air Force guys.
Oh no, this is all just Rangers.
Oh, okay.
We screw stuff up too.
Strong, smart Rangers.
Strong, smart Rangers.
If you want me to tell more stories from my time, maybe I'll do it on a live stream. Let me know what you think.
So you can load it by pushing the spoon through, pulling it. Bolt can be forward, gun can be on safe. And then when your aircraft loaded, it's bolts forward. You get off the bird, you get off the vehicle. You go ahead and leave it on safe. You pull it back, just return the charging handle. There is no sear binding. The gun completely operates. Otherwise, you can load it just like any other machine gun, and you'll see some improvements as the Army...
Is it weird that the handle is on that left-hand side? Because if you're right-handed and you're shooting, you're either going to want to use your left hand to pull that up, which is kind of awkward, or you're going to want to bring your right hand over, because you're gonna obviously, the cockpit handle is going to go back. My presumption is you're going to put your hand over the scope, press that button, and open it. But then at the same time, no, you're not, because you're going to need to feed it. So you're going to go underneath. You're going to change the ball sack out. You're going to use your left hand to open it. Maybe you just flick it with your thumb so it comes open, and then you can get it in and you can close it. Maybe that's another way of doing it. I'd love to see how people are fast doing ammo change on this.
Receives the next generation of this gun. You'll see an ammunition keep that will go ahead and capture the round. So when you click it on, it's not a two-hand operation. Again, nothing new, just incorporating it in an arm machine gun.
Yeah.
And then, just close the feed tray like anything normal.
Oh, I don't like he's using the scope to do that.
It's literally all the same. It's an open bolt machine gun, very similar to the M249. It only had experience on the M249 and the M240 Bravo and the Mark 48s. And it was, like, as soon as I picked it up, it was pretty simple, except for, like, looking at this, like, everything was simpler, easier, better.
I'd love to see him strip this apart.
I think when you look at our submissions, and we talked about this earlier this week, is even though the M5 and the 250 being, let's call it an AR-10 form factor and an open bolt belt-fed machine gun factor, that was really the more challenging avenue. You'll see tomorrow we'll have a chance, and we'll take you into the kind of the lost projects. We have MCX bullpups, so we have bullpup experience. But when you picked this gun up, there was such a familiarity that there was also a kinship to it, right? Your manual of arms changed only in the fact that it goes from full auto to semi rather than just having, push a button. And so you immediately can, feel a relationship that you had with your previous girlfriend with this new girlfriend.
That's very familiar.
And that was really a strategy that we had was if we can shape the M5 to be like the M4, and the 250 to have a familiarity with the 249, it'll be easier for the average soldier to endear themselves to that weapon system instead of completely changing the form factor.
And that's really, really important when you get, a crazy amount of soldiers. Having to be able to train on something like this very quickly is so important.
If you're an experienced guy with 12, 15, 18, 20 years, you pick up the M5, your manual of arms is exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's no learning curve on that. So implementation and fielding for the Army is much easier with a familiar design than a completely new design.
That does make sense. I'm not a very smart person, and for me it was very easy, given my passing familiarity with the M249 to pick this guy up, put the bolts on. I'm like, is this right? And you guys are like, yeah, it's just like an M249. And like close it, but it was like a little bit easier. I was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, safety's really nice. It feels better than the M249, but like you said.
Familiarity.
It's like familiar girlfriend.
That's really cool.
Can't say that. Now, this weapon is only replacing the M249, correct?
Correct.
But the capability of this round does eclipse the 7.62 by 5.1, correct?
Correct.
This could conceivably replace the M240, the Mark 48, and the M249 and the Mark 46, correct?
Army decision.
Good times. I think it's really interesting that
I'll tell you what, SIG makes some good-looking weapons, don't they? They make probably the best-looking weapons, I think. They're really, really nice.
The M240 is going to remain in service, despite this thing being adopted, because this is a round that kind of does that, right?
Correct.
Army. All right, for the first time, we're going to ghost trigger of the M250 right here. So we have our weapon.
I wonder how heavy it is.
Right there. Want to make sure that's good to go. Bolts back. Let's go ahead and put that into full auto. And again, quick note right there, safe, full auto, and then we have semi right there. Pretty cool. So going back to full auto. So we have that little bit of play right there, about 2 millimeters. We hit our wall, about 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds right there. Go ahead and lock that back. And then of course, nothing happens. You know why?
Full
fucking auto. All right, we have the semi trigger right here. So same wall right there, about 8 pounds. Let's go ahead and reset that. Come back off the reset. Right there, a little mushy. Back from there. about 8-ish pounds. That feels great. For a machine gun trigger, that
big gun.
feels absolutely wonderful. Now, it has to be mentioned, of course, we have you versus the guy she told you not to worry about.
Oh my God, what is that monstrosity? Holy crap. Is that 50 cal? No.
So this is the very similar machine gun, but this is in 338.
338?
Norma Magnum. So I'm pretty much...
For a second, I thought it was 50 cal, mostly because of the front of it, but no, you look at the back part there, no, it's not.
Just shooting a Happy Meal as far as price goes every time I'm pulling, firing off a round. Right?
Yeah, previous administrations, it was about $485, but with inflation, we're up to about $585 a round.
We'll talk about this bad boy later. Just wanted to
It's got a handle on the barrel as well, which is interesting.
show it off, a little bit of shooting footage of it, because this is a monstrous machine gun. And this guy can replace the M2 in certain applications, can it not?
It can.
That brings us to the end of the M250 right here. We, of course, have the collapsible buttstock. This can be changed out, if I'm not mistaken, for other SIG stocks as well, if you wanted it to.
Yeah, we had a challenge with overall length requirements and drop requirements with our folding buttstock. The knuckle added a 1/4 inch of the folding buttstock. If we had the 1/4 inch more on the overall length aspect,
disqualified.
Disqualified.
Wow.
Well, we have the M250 here. We've talked a lot about
It's very strict regulations then, isn't there?
it at this point. Is there anything that you want to kind of add to it before we kind of get going here?
No, it's just the way you started your video. I'm the sales guy sometimes, and I just get to hand someone a machine gun like that.
Try doing that with a saw, dude.
And I just going to say, hey, go ahead and take it.
Are you going to take it, Micah?
No, go ahead.
Are you going to take it, Micah? You're going to get it with one
I can't
hand?
boss him
Here,
anymore. I
I'll
bossed him
get
twice. I had 2 bosses.
Give machine gun. It really is a really cool upgrade to what guys know.
I wonder what the weight of it
And I'm
is.
sorry for the guys who are going to be carrying this, because they don't get to know the pain and the herniations of carrying the saw. It's very sad.
It's a badass gun.
Well, that brings us to the end of the M250 right here. So, St. John, thank you so much for coming on and for selling everybody on this weapon. It's very cool. I do love it a lot. And this is the future right here. This is the weapon that people are going to be carrying. So that it's pretty incredible to get an early look at it. So can't thank you guys enough. And
I wonder if the UK is going to be getting rid of the GPMG anytime soon, if that's going to be phased. If anyone knows anything about that, let me know in the comments.
Finishing out with there, guys. We really got nothing else for you. Stay strong. Be safe out there.
It was my pleasure, Iceman.
Final thing for you guys. Dad advice. Now, we always have our guest give dad advice. So my viewership, is that a good word for it? Colt. They don't have dads, so they need.
Your Colt doesn't have fathers.
Yeah, they need a father figure. So you're close enough right now. So what is some dad advice for these people?
Don't marry a young military man. Marry a middle-aged military man. The U.S. Army is officially switching to the...
Go back. Brilliant video. Absolutely brilliant. As always, by Garand Thumb. If you want to watch the original video, please go over and support his channel. Go over to his video, give it a like, give it a subscribe, all that good stuff. Really, really important that you do that. What a great video. What a great weapon. Holy crap. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think about the whole scope being there? Or the scope being further back and having to look over and I don't know about that. It's the only thing I'm a bit about. But again, that could come from a place of not practicing with this specific rifle and practicing with a GPMG. Let me know what you think. Anyway, links down in the description for all things. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.